What's up, guys? It's NFL Week 10, and we're taking our first look at FanDuel. We're going to go through it, matchups, position by position. We're going to take a look at these salaries, see who's popping, and we're going to construct a first look lineup. Let's get into it. My name is Kevin Allen, aka the Geek from DFS Army, and let's get started with the matchups. The matchups are key, and this is where we're going to kind of go through the slate, talk through each game, see what we can come up with, and get into the breakdown. So let's get started here. This is the domination station from DFS Army. And of course, our game tiles show the game totals and the team totals for each game. So we get a little sense. We want games where we're going to attack high team totals, close spreads, and high game totals. So let's get started here. First game on the board, you've got the Vikings at the Jaguars. 45-point total. Vikings are 4.5 point favorites in this one. And, you know, the Jaguars have been an opponent that you want to attack in all ways, right? Defensively, they've been terrible. So we want to definitely pay attention to this game a little bit. And weirdly, you know, Vikings defense is really, really good, but they've actually been lit up a little bit via the pass this season. So maybe some of those pieces from the Jaguars could be of interest in this one. Who knows? Next up, we got the Bills at the Colts. Flacco-led Colts. You got the Bills. Josh Allen, a stud week in and week out. Hasn't been producing the 30-plus pointers. They've been relying a little bit more on their running backs this year than in the past. So you're kind of seeing maybe a little bit of that ceiling of Josh Allen muted just a little bit, but he's been spectacular this season. Colts are a great matchup in terms of, you know, a team that's not a very good defensive team. But at the same time, we have to see how offensively potent the Colts can be in this one. I do like the game. It's got a big 48-point total. So this is a game to target. James Cook definitely in play on the Bills side of this one. I'll go right back to Josh Downs every week as long as Flacco is the quarterback. So there's a little bit of that. And more importantly, or maybe interestingly, the Bills have some wide receivers hurt. We're not sure what Amari Cooper's doing. And I think Keon Coleman might be out. He's week to week. So we'll see if he plays this week. So we might have an easier stack, I guess, with Josh Allen if we just got one or two names. Broncos at the Chiefs. I've been excited about Bo Nix and his progression. The kid can run it with his legs. I mean, I'm not really sure about the arm just yet, but he's looked poised and he's looked pretty good out there. Now, that being said, the Chiefs have a great defense. So that Broncos total at 16.75, really low, pretty gross. Chiefs side against the Broncos. I mean, this Chiefs offense, I don't know what to say about it, really. It looks better with DeAndre Hopkins, I guess. That's something we can say about the Chiefs offense. Looked a lot better with the Dre in there. Hopkins, nuke. So maybe that's going to lead to great things for Mahomes, but so far it hasn't been that way. I haven't really had a lot of luck using Mahomes in DFS lineups this season. Kareem Hunt keeps getting tons of volume, so there's some spots there to pay attention to. Steelers at Washington. You know, Steelers have a really good defense, an elite CB1 in Joey Porter Jr., so keep that in mind. This is probably not the week. I would assume that Porter would be on Terry McLaurin in this game. You know, maybe that opens things up for someone like Noah Brown at the WR2 or even Zach Ertz. But not much more there. And just not a game I'm super excited by in general. These teams play, especially the Steelers, play pretty good slow game defense, run the football a lot. They got two running backs there, nothing to be excited about. So 45.5-point total in that one. I'm probably going to stay away. Falcons at the Saints. Falcons coming with the 25-point road team total. You know, the Falcons every once and again, and this is what Kirk Cousins does, man. Every once and again, he's going to light it up for like a 28, and you wish you had him. But more often than not, he's going to dud it up and hand it off to his running backs on this Falcons team. So definitely probably more of a spot where I'd be interested in those Falcons running backs. On the Saints side, you know, you can't deny what Kamara did last week. Taysom Hill looked pretty good in there, kind of as the backup RB. But Kamara went bananas last week. Probably more of the same here. As long as, all the other running backs are out, I think we'll see tons and tons of usage for Kamara. So he is definitely playable in this spot. Chris Olave going to be out for this game. So I'm not really sure who they're going to throw to with Shaheed and now Olave out. I mean, Charles Tillman. can't even remember the name, but we'll figure that one out because they got to throw to somebody. Patriots at the Bears. This has some GPP appeal, I would say. This game in general, the Bears defense has been pretty good. Patriots defense, not good. Bears offense, terrible last week, right? But again, Bears are at home taking on a bad defensive team in the Patriots. And I have a weird feeling that maybe we'll get a Caleb game. I'm going to wait to ask Bobby Wow on tournament tactics. We got to talk about this one, but I am feeling Caleb a little bit here. He's been terrible the last few weeks, and he's a rookie. He's going to have those horrible games. Every now and again, he'll have a good one. But at home against the Patriots, maybe that's one of those surprise up spots. So a little silly for the Millie. Potential there with Caleb Williams. 49ers at the Bucks. 51-point total. This one's probably the best game on the board right now. I like this spot. Baker Mayfield's just styling. He doesn't need wide receivers. He don't care. He's getting it done to the tight end. He's throwing to the running backs, throwing to randos, running the football. He's doing it all. Really interesting. I love that the Bucks are at home in this one. San Francisco, it makes them more likely to be competitive, even though they're slight underdogs here. And that makes it more likely that San Francisco will keep their foot on the gas this whole game. The Bucks are a team to target with opposing pass catchers. They've been pretty good against the run and not so good against the pass. So lots and lots of goodness in this game, especially with San Francisco. They don't really have a premier running back. We've got to pay attention to Mason. We've got to pay attention to Gorendo, see who's playing, who's starting, all that information. Is Christian McCaffrey coming back? Is Deebo Samuel going to be healthy for this one? What about Ricky Pearsall? So a lot of pieces from that game are going to be super relevant on this slate. I like that one. I think that's the one we're probably going to end up building around, but don't want to spoil it, but that one looks like the one, right? Titans at the Chargers. This one has a gross 38.5-point total. Chargers coming off a big game last week. Justin Herbert playing well, throwing touchdowns. Quentin Johnston throwing to Ladd McConkey all over the place. Even Josh Palmer getting in on the action last week. Everybody got a piece. Good stuff. And Herbert finally has a big game as a quarterback. I think we go back to run heavy, J.K. Dobbins focused attack this week against the Titans team. That's terrible. Chargers defense in play. If Will Levis gets the nod for the Titans, we're loading up on some Chargers defense as well. Little defense, Chargers defense, J.K. Dobbins combo maybe. Eagles at the Cowboys. Ooh, Cowboys. It's not looking too good in Dallas right now. Dak Prescott on the shelf. Looks like Cooper Rush will be playing here. I'm not sure that even CeeDee Lamb is going to play this. You know what? Let's take a look. Is CeeDee Lamb going to play? It is not looking good. Practice limited, AC joint. We'll see. So it's really not looking too good there. Obviously, the Eagles are a great team, and Eagles are not the kind of team where we have to worry about the other team scoring. They're going to just try to produce offense throughout the game regardless. I think they can get it done. It's probably a Saquon Barkley focal point, which always limits the upside for Hurts, but Hurts seems to just get it done as well. So I'm not sure he's got the 30-plus point upside. It took like 3 tush-push touchdowns a couple of weeks ago for him to get there. But I like me some Hurts and really probably Saquon Barkley primarily. Devontae Smith with no A.J. Brown would be interesting and is always interesting, but I don't really know at this moment if A.J. Brown is going to play. Next up, we have the Jets at the Cardinals. This one carries a 46-point total. This game has some potential upside on both sides. The Cardinals defense, not that good. Jets defense is very good. I think the Jets should be able to win this game. If the Cardinals are going to attack the Jets here, they should really focus heavy on the running back. But I saw last week on the Cardinals that they were heavily mixing in Cedric Benson and I believe his name is DeMercado or something like that. Like they had their backup running backs in the game quite a bit last week. So it's going to be tougher and tougher to trust James Conner as a pay-up option. On the Jet side, I think we go right back to Garrett Wilson. I think, Devontae Adams is interesting. And I'm not really someone that believes that Aaron Rodgers has like 30-plus point fantasy upside. I don't think he has that. But I think he can produce a yeoman-like solid score in this game, assuming that the Cardinals make it competitive at all. So probably not a DFS play, but I don't mind those wide receivers on the Jets. Even in DFS, probably Rodgers, I'll probably avoid him. Final game on the slate, we've got the Lions at the Texans. FanDuel, kind enough to include the Sunday night game in their main slate action. I like it. I'm down. One more game. Fine by me. This one has a high total, 49 points. I'm not sure if Nico Collins is going to come back for the Texans this week. If he does, I'm very interested in him. If he doesn't, I'm very interested in Tank Dell. We'll see where he's priced, right? They don't have anybody else to throw to that is a premier name. CJ Stroud has been having terrible games since Nico Collins has been out for the team. So they need him back bad. And I think when they get him back, maybe CJ Stroud gets some of that mojo back. Stroud, sophomore slumping right now. On the flip side, Detroit is such a good team. They have so many weapons, but that's kind of part of the problem with Detroit. Jared Goff, big games have been few and far between because those running backs suck up a lot of the touchdown action. And on FanDuel, touchdowns are king. And so you're just not getting as many touchdowns to the skill positions. Laporte is having a down year. Really, everybody's having a down year in the sense that fantasy production is down because there's so many weapons on the team. So I like this team, but it will take a little bit of what I call luck variance for the game to wind up one of those times where Goff throws for 3 or more touchdowns. So it's tough to rely on that. All right. We've covered some of those matchups. And now let's get into the position by position. We'll just take a little bit of a glance here. Actually, what I'll do, I'll jump back over to the optimizer and just give it a quick sort by value. This is a value metric, kind of tell us who stands out as some of the better plays on the slate on a points per dollar basis versus their projection. And look who's at the top here, but Brock Purdy. I don't know that we want to fight that. Brock Purdy, pretty good spot here. You got Jaden Daniels in the mix, Herbert, Caleb Williams. It won't take much at $7K for Caleb to get it done. Even Sam Darnold at 7,800, interesting. Josh Allen in there. So, that's that quarterback position. Running back, Saquon Barkley, even at 9,600, is showing as the top value play. That's wild. Kamara, 1,000 less. Stands out a little bit. J.K. Dobbins, we talked about him. Aaron Jones against the Jaguars. Sure, I get that. Wide receiver group, Justin Jefferson is the best value. Wild, right? Garrett Wilson, expensive. DeAndre Hopkins, let's pay attention to that. DeAndre Hopkins at 6K. I like it. Khalil Shakir, 6,200. These are probably going to make our lineup. I'm not Ladd McConkey acceptable here. Even, no, not really. No. Dell at 72, maybe. Let's see here. No. All right. Josh Downs, price. Demario Douglas is somebody I'm interested in. So we do have some bargains. I think we're going to have to find our bargains at the wide receiver position because I'm not seeing too much of that going on at the running back spot. So let's get into the running. Let's start at quarterback and work our way through. So the very top of the list here, we've got Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen in the 9K range. Both guys have been very, very good. Hurts a little bit better this year, averaging 23 DraftKings points per game. Josh Allen just behind him. Josh has had some, successful games, a lot of good, but not the great games. Had the 30, but then it's been solid, but not spectacular getting it done. Hurts, 29, 35, had a couple of big games here. And again, a lot of these 18s and 20s. Hurts, neither guy is in a particularly a matchup that's likely to be super competitive. Jaden Daniels coming in third here. Yeah, could get it done. I really don't prefer the Steelers as an opponent for these type of players. I think Steelers as an opponent, they are a slow moving team. They run the football a lot, and they tend to play in games that are lower scoring. They don't tend to get hype. So I'm probably gonna avoid that one. And we come to our San Francisco Tampa duo of Mayfield and Purdy. This game really popping. Tampa allowing the 31st most fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks, they are getting lit up in Tampa, and Purdy only gets better if Tampa's doing well. So if Tampa is scoring, Purdy is answering. This might change for me if Christian McCaffrey comes back this week, but I've seen some weakness in this running back group from San Francisco. So as long as Christian McCaffrey, let's see what they say about CMC. Be limited to practice, no pain with his Achilles. Let's see if they bring him back this week is what I'm saying. If they do, I will like this play a little bit less, but not that much. I think I'm still going to do it. Right? I think I'm still going to I'll be into Purdy this week. But let's continue on and talk through the rest of these because I do have some other, I think, bargain price quarterbacks that are worth taking a shot on. So Jared Goff, again, only in massive GPPs would I be interested in him, just because those running backs eat up a lot of the work. Mahomes against Denver, yeah, I guess so. With Hopkins, he's priced down a little bit, so it's fine. But, he's averaging 17 fantasy points per game. Nothing exciting here. Darnold, again, similar. Great matchup for Darnold. The big games haven't really been there, but they could come. They can happen. It's been a little bit, how would I put this? Just average 21, 18, 17, 23, 20, 15. Oh yeah, he's averaging a solid 18 fantasy points per game. It's a good year for Sam. Good year for Sam. Stroud, probably not until he gets back. If Nico Collins comes back, I'll be a lot more interested, but Stroud just he's not getting it done. Kyler Murray against the Jets, not something I'm going to be doing. Russell Wilson, it's an automatic no. It's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me, dog. He put up 24. I don't care. He ran for a touchdown. Good luck that ever happening again. Cousins at 7,400. Acceptable. Tournament, acceptable. Got a 28, got a 38, and a bunch of turds in between. That is what to expect from Kirk Cousins. This team has elite running backs, so it's hard for the quarterback to produce. Joe Flacco against the Bills. Okay. Love me some Flacco. You guys know I love Flacco. He's old. He just wants to sling it. He doesn't care. Bills defense, not that great. I say yes. Flacco at home, yes. I'll allow it. Trevor Lawrence shoulder injury. That's unfortunate. Let's see what goes on with his health. But Lawrence has been percolating just a smidge. At 7K, it's not bad. It's a great matchup in terms of the Vikings defense, weirdly allowing lots of fantasy points to opposing wide receivers and quarterbacks. So I think it's acceptable. Caleb Williams, again, GPP, I will have him in my tournament mix this week. I know it's gross, but if we can get one of these, if we can get one of those special games that he's had already, and he does sling it, he does not mind slinging it. Patriots defense, not very good. So a couple of things working in the favor of Caleb Williams here. Obviously, he's got a couple of nice 20-plus pointers, but when he's not doing that, why does this keep happening? When he's not doing that, he's destroying your lineup, right? He's putting up 9s, 10s, single-digit scores. These are horrible. So he did sling it last week, 41 passing attempts, but still only got the 9. Looked terrible out there. So what are you going to do? But the good news is they're young, they're rookies, they bounce back, no big deal. Aaron Rodgers, talk about him a little bit. I don't mind it at 7,100. Like, I think that's acceptable. We need to save some salary going on to AA Ron, but it's not my favorite, but it works. Bo Nix getting it done with his legs. Rushing yards, 36, 75, 61, 10 rushes, 6 rushes, 5. We need that. Look how nice it's been, this run for Bo Nix. This is a tougher matchup against the Chiefs. I get it. But I'll be playing some Nix this week as well. He just does what you need at 7K. The price is right. Similar story with Drake May. He's the last one I'm going to mention. But Drake May, Chicago defense is good. Drake May, not that good. But he runs the football, 95 rushing yards this past week. So when quarterbacks do that, they have such a floor. Like, he had a terrible game. He put up 17. Imagine he didn't stink throwing the football in that game. Did he throw for a touchdown? Yeah. He threw for 1 touchdown. Got an 18. Took 100 rushing yards to get there. He's going to have to do better throwing the football, but we've seen that he can. 276 against Jacksonville. Threw for 243 and 3 touchdowns against Houston. So the kid can get it done. This is not a good matchup, though. We don't really want a lot of players at the Bears. They're a pretty quality defense. But for this one, we'll just plug in Brock Purdy here and see how this goes. I like going with the cheaper quarterbacks in these first look, like going all the way down. But those are always going to be a little sketchier. All right, running back position, NFL Week 10 on FanDuel. Saquon Barkley. Let me make this bigger here. Saquon Barkley, great. He projects as one of the best plays on the slate already. Did a reverse hurdle in that game. Looks amazing out there. Saquon Barkley having a year. So I'm fine with that if we can afford it. 9,600, a little spendy. Joe Mixon at 9K against Detroit. Probably not the way I want to go as an underdog against an elite run defense. But Joe Mixon has been so good. It's been really good for him. Bijan, sure. Taylor, yeah, also not bad. I want favored running backs, though. But I do think Jonathan Taylor with Flacco is a better play than without Flacco. Like, I just think he's a better spot. So how did he do last week? Let's take a look. I think he had a pretty nice game. No, did not. So it was 2 weeks ago. Had a big 120 rushes. Minnesota, though, is a good run defense. Buffalo, not that good. So I think Jonathan Taylor's fine. Alvin Kamara really is going to stand out again. Kamara, always somebody that I kind of look for a little bit more on DraftKings than FanDuel with that PPR. But, yardage is yardage. And last week, 100 and 200 plus all-purpose yards. Bunch of receptions. I see more of the same coming here. Jahmyr Gibbs at Houston, fine. Kareem Hunt, fine. Got the Q tag here for Hunt. What the story there? Limited practice, but full participation. He'll be fine. Breece Hall, playable, 8,200. Breece Hall is just a disappointment machine this year. 9. I mean, you can't have this. You got the 20s, but mixed in, you got the 2s, the 5s, and the 9s. They're lineup ruiners. They just ruin everything. Brutal. Moving on down the list. I think James Cook is playable against the Colts, guys. He's not been a scoring machine. He's scored more touchdowns this year than ever before, but his career-wise, there haven't been a ton of touchdowns. But if we look at this year's results, they've been pretty good. 8 total touchdowns. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, had the 2-pack against Miami coming off of 28. Then he gets the 11. And that's sort of what James Cook is. He's either going to ruin your lineup or he's going to help you smash. I don't mind it. I think it's a pretty decent spot for it. Aaron Jones also against Jacksonville. Aaron Jones got tons of volume last week. 21 carries, 4 targets. As a matter of fact, I'm plugging in Aaron Jones here. I love the volume he's getting. And Jacksonville's a weak opponent. I'll take Jones against Jacksonville. That's fine. DeAndre Swift, very playable against New England. New England can't stop the run. Swift gets some volume as well. Last week was a brutal game for this team. Still got 6 targets. It seems like when things are going wrong, they start throwing it to him as well, which is also fine. Let's put Swift in there for now. James Conner, he's losing some carries, it looks like, to the other guys on the team. Not that much. I mean, he still got his 18 and 3. I think Trey Benson was heavily involved last week. Maybe it's not as much as I thought. Yeah, he got about 10. Yeah, he got about 10 opportunities as well. So, yeah, that kind of ruins it. J.K. Dobbins, very playable here. Chargers at Tennessee, at home. Dobbins, again, coming off a pretty good game here, 23.5 pointer. I played a ton of him last week. Let's go back to Dobbins here. But we're not done. We're going to still talk through the rest of the running backs on the slate, but we're going to plug these guys in, kind of start getting a feel for how a lineup might come together. And you can see here, expensive running backs, mid-priced QB, and we're already almost out of salary. We'll see how this one comes together. Ramondre, 7K. All right. Garendo. I don't think there's too much going on here. Sub 7K that I'd be interested in. Rico Dowdle, maybe. Dowdle's he's got the full running back role for Dallas. Lucked us into a 19 last week. Got a good score. I had a ton of Dowdle last week. I was so leveraged on Dowdle. I felt like I should have made more money on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, but this, even against Philly, even as an underdog, even with the backup QB in place, I think Dowdle at 6,200 is someone to keep in mind. I'm not into Javonte against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have the number 1 ranked defense versus the run. That's not to say, by the way, that Dowdle is in a better spot, but KC is number 1 versus the run. I will pass on that. Anyone else? I mean, I've heard some buzz around Jalen Warren this week. I don't get it. That's not for me. No. All right. Moving on. Let's jump over to defense and see what we can figure out in terms of a low-cost defense that will help us gain some fantasy points per dollar for the rest of these positions. So let's start at the very bottom. Colts at home against Buffalo, nope. Jacksonville at home against Minnesota, no. Dallas, no. Tennessee, no. Washington, no. Tampa, no. I think New England is playable. If we need to pay all the way down, if Caleb Williams is going to be terrible again, that can work. Arizona at home against the Jets, probably not something I'm excited for. New Orleans at home, no. Detroit, maybe. Denver at KC, no. Pittsburgh, no. Atlanta at New Orleans, no. San Francisco at Tampa, no. KC against Denver, 4,500. So we're kind of going to have to pay up a little bit if we want to get a good defense here. And I think the best one is the Chargers at 4,800. I mean, I could go for the Jets, I guess, on the road, or Buffalo on the road, but I think it's the Chargers if we want to pay all the way up. Maybe Minnesota, maybe Chicago, maybe Philly, but, you know, that's the pay up option. Let me scroll all the way back down and see if I just don't mind throwing a turd in here, right? How about just going with maybe the Patriots at Chicago? I think that's, if we wanted to save some money, I think I'd go like this. Patriots, just hope Caleb turns it over a few times, gets crazy out there. So I'm going to leave that one in there to see if we can afford a proper lineup here. But bearing in mind, I do think Tennessee, is that what I said before? I can't remember anymore. I do think, the Chargers at home against Tennessee is a better play, especially if Will Levis is the quarterback for the Titans. All right, let's jump over to the tight end position here. And there are some bargains, but George Kittle, most expensive tight end, $8K. I can't afford it. I definitely can't afford it in this lineup, but I can't really afford it all. But I think Kittle is always a good play whenever one of the guys from San Francisco is missing, and they are missing at least one wide receiver in Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the season. But Debo's got a Q tag. Juwan Johnson has a Q tag. Everybody got Q tags. So this could be a good Kittle game. That said, $8K, too expensive. Trey McBride, also probably a little too pricey for me at $7,200. Travis Kelce, fine. Ferguson, no. Hawkinson, look at that. Jacked up the price on him already. I think Hawkinson's fine. I played him last week. Sure, why not, right? Cade Otton, though, almost a must play, I would say. Cade Otton is getting to must play territory. Take a look at his returns this is ridiculous. 17, 24, 17. For a tight end, it's absurd. 11, 10, 10. They don't have anybody else to throw to. They're going to be throwing it to Otton. We got to plug him in here. It works with Purdy. It's a little comeback in that game. So let's plug in Otton, but let's continue to talk through some of the rest of these tight ends. I think there's a bargain tight end underpriced in the 5s. So let's see if we can get to him. Taysom Hill looked pretty good last week with, playing sort of that backup running back role as well. Winds up with 4 receptions, 41 yards. Very good stuff for Taysom Hill. A 14, not a bad score. I'm not playing him. Evan Ingram, fine. Dalton Kincaid at 6K. Almost very good, right? If the Bills are going to be down pass catchers, maybe Kincaid finally has that breakout game. Did I just see that Dallas Goedert no longer has a Q tag? Full practice. Oh, the return of Goddard. Okay, well, about freaking time. Come on back. I've got him on some fantasy teams. Doesn't really mean anything for us, though. Laporta, oh, how the mighty have fallen in price. Sam Laporta, 5,800. Right down with Dalton Schultz. What is going on out there? What is happening? Hunter Henry, pretty good spot here. So if I want to get down in salary, Hunter Henry, 5,300. Acceptable. I don't mind it. So I could save another 1,000. Look at this. Look at the target numbers for Hunter. Look at that. 8 and 7, 6, 5, 9, 8. He's been great, and he catches everything thrown his way. The scores, have they reflected it? No, but that's because this team doesn't score touchdowns. Once they start getting in the end zone, Hunter Henry, he's one of those. Trade for him, especially in Dynasty. I think Cole Kmet is playable, especially if we do a Caleb Williams lineup. Zach Ertz is fine. So we'll be able to find some bargains here in the tight end room if we need to. Probably usually do, but actually I'm looking at the way this lineup's coming together. I think we're going to be okay. But if we needed it, it's there. I would like to upgrade this New England spot. I really would, but I'm going to leave them for now because defenses don't matter. Okay. Wide receiver, starting at the top. Justin Jefferson, sure. Right? At Jacksonville, fine by me. Good play. Amon-Ra, that big game, also another stud. These guys are stud, all good. A.J. Brown, Q-Tag, not sure about all that. Nico Collins, we'll see if he comes back. Devontae Smith, when A.J. Brown is out, Smith usually gets it done. But this game, a little weird. That Q-Tag I don't like, so we'll see about all that. Deebo Samuel, 8,300. This is probably where we should be clicking our first button. We've got Brock Purdy in there. I do have to give a caveat that, A, we can't afford an 8K player. Simply, salaries are not going to work like that this week unless we find bargains later in the week. So I'm not going to put him in for that reason. But I also think Debo's a little overpriced at 8,300 considering, he's got the Q tag. He's only averaged 12 fantasy points per game. It hasn't been that great. Garrett Wilson, always good. Drake London. I think London will play. He's got the hip pointer. Already talked about McLaurin. That's not a very good matchup for him against potentially Joey Porter Jr. Devontae, fine. Darnell Mooney, smashing lately. Getting it done. Wait, there's Devontae. Wait. Darnell. Getting it done. Darnell's been getting it done. Check this out. 17, 16, 10, 16. A lot of these big scores. But Darnell Mooney is priced in a ridiculous spot. 7,500 for Darnell is crazy. He's a WR2. Devontae Adams is a quote unquote WR2 is a little expensive here, but Darnell, this is patently absurd, right? So we're not going to do that. Brian Thomas Jr. Wow, he's had some big games, but be careful with him. 4 targets, 5 targets. The targets haven't been there. Now, one would expect that with the injury to Christian Kirk, that Brian Thomas Jr.'s targets will increase. So I think he'll probably get more than the 5 or 6, and he's been great when he's been targeted. The only thing I would concern myself with in this one is just he's a little expensive, but actually thinking it through, I think he's a good play. I think Brian Thomas Jr. will be low owned. He's up against that defense that allows wide receivers to torch them. It's an interesting spot. I'll probably maybe reserve him just for Trevor Lawrence lineups, but it's interesting. Tank Dell. 9 targets last week. Finally had a big game. They got to throw it to him. They got to throw to someone, right? So Tank Dell very much in play. Josh Downs in play. Anytime Flacco is the quarterback, Josh Downs has to be someone in play. 9 targets this past week. Didn't do much with it, but he will. Look out for Josh Downs. Buffalo defense is pretty good. I don't think it matters that much. He's a good player. George Pickens. Couple games, 1 or 2 games, really one game, 7-14-21, worthy of this score. That is a pretty bad ratio. But at the same time, where were we? Pickens? Yeah. At the same time, those weren't games with Russell Wilson. He's only had the 2 games with Russ, and he had 1 big game. So who knows, right? They're playing Washington. It could happen for Pickens here. Xavier Worthy seems a little overpriced for his role at 6,900. I'm going to avoid that one. Marvin Harrison Jr., fine. Amari Cooper, let's see if he plays. If he plays and Keon Coleman is out, I think Amari Cooper will be an important part of this offense. Are we hearing anything about him playing? That's the question. Limited participant. So there we have it, right? Limited participant. We'll see what happens there. Cortland Sutton, fine. Addison, just all right. DJ Moore, more of a pair with Caleb Peace than anything else. Jalen Tolbert, I guess he could be interesting with Cooper Rush, but probably not. Jameson Williams coming back off the sus. Do we know what he did? Performance-enhancing substances? Damn. What was he doing, guys? What's a two-week PED substance? Like, I thought they ban you for longer than that. Lad McConkey, fine. But one of the names I want to plug in here, I think is a bargain right now, is K-Shaq, Khalil Shakir, 10, 7, 7. Massive target numbers. Keon Coleman probably going to be out this week, so they're probably going to throw it to Khalil Shakir. Nothing wrong with that. Michael Pittman's priced down reasonably. Crushed lineups last week, so be careful. Jalen McMillan, we'll have to see if he plays. If he does play, I think he's the best of the Bucs wide receivers. The next person I want to plug in, though, is DeAndre Hopkins. What a monster game he had. I think this continues. I think this is Rashee Rice 2.0. And, he caught everything that went his way. He looked like a beast. Now, maybe he's out of energy after one monster game and he's an old guy or whatever. But I'm taking my shot with DeAndre Hopkins. Now, the problem I have with this lineup right now is we have not paired up Brock Purdy with anybody. That is not acceptable. We can't build a proper lineup that way. So let me take a look here and see if Juwan Jennings, if he's out, limited participant, sidelined, hip injury, ramping up activity. So we don't know. But basically, I would be looking to pair up either Juwan Jennings or Ricky Pearsall, who's right here about the same price, depending on which one's playing. Right here about the same price. So I'm actually going to plug in for the purpose of this video. I'm going to plug in Pearsall, but I do like Juwan. If Juwan becomes healthy, I think I would switch to him. Now, remember I said we got to get that defense a little bit better. I left over $1,000 here. Now we can do a lot of different things with that grand. I can upgrade from like an Aaron Jones to a super studly name, Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, somebody a little studlier than Jones, or we can go from DeAndre Swift, again, same idea, to one of these more studly names, get Bijan going in there. Or we can, and of course, Cook is playable here too, or we can adjust off of New England Patriots defense and go to, we almost got the Chargers, but I wanted that. But we couldn't quite get to the Chargers, so it would have to be something like the Bills or the Chiefs, which is probably acceptable to Chiefs at home in that game. So a lot of different options. I'm going to leave it open. What defense did I even have? Patriots in here? All right, whatever. We'll leave it open. We've got 1,000 left to spare. Major upgrade available somewhere. Actually, where's Chicago defense? Can I get to? No, they're even more expensive. So would have been nice to pair up Chicago with, how about the Vikings? Oh, yeah, also too expensive. So would have been nice to pair up one of those. But you know what? Let's leave the 1,000 in there for you guys to make your own decision on the last spot adjustment. Oh, can we get to Kittle? No. 1,000. You know what? What if you took out K-Shaq here and just put in, more of a 7K guy? Yeah, Tank Dell. There we go. Can switch it up. There we go. I'm going to play Tank Dell in this one, but you can do whatever you want with that last 1,000. Meanwhile, FanDuel Power, what's up? Thanks for watching. I appreciate you all for being here. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and remember to come back to the DF Summer YouTube channel all the time for your favorite DFS shows. Tournament Tactics will be available on Friday at 5 as always, and we showdown, breakdown here, all that good stuff. So I will see you guys next time. Good luck this week, everybody.